Salut Cristo, salut fino Cristo, podcastisto, daily salio piste, mi offri sopra di podcast e di salutesio, fagliosito frasi, magnioso, salviate a sodegna flapie, isolatio de.
All right. Hey.
You need to practice that a couple more times.
Hey.
Hey,
Still a little new to this. Sorry, guys. Ashkahn. This is Ashkahn.
Yep, I'm Graham right over here.
Hey.
And today's question is...
Hold on. Special announcement first.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
There's this thing called the Float Conference. It's a conference.
What?
Yeah, it's about floating. We put it on, and it's happening pretty soon. It's in August 18th and 19th.
Get excited.
And you should get your tickets. We have kind of a cutoff date where the prices of the tickets get a lot more expensive. It's the day where, we got to start making concrete some of our ordering numbers and stuff like that. So we set kind of a date. It's coming up. It's July 19th. If you're coming to the Float Conference and you don't have your tickets yet, get them before then. Otherwise, the prices will go up.
And what's it's the 16th for hotels as well that people should get?
Yeah, if you're looking for a hotel, you don't have a hotel booked yet, we have some kind of group discounts. There's a place, the Hilton, that's just a block away from the conference. And there's a page on the conference website, floatconference.com/hotels, where you can book and get a cheaper rate. Definitely do that. The deal ends on July 16th. It's the last time you can book those.
All right. And now, today's question is... Despite you making fun of all my questions, I still think you're the hippest guys. Today's question is, what tank manufacturer... He threw that in and I threw that in too. It really made me sound redundant there. Thanks a lot, question asker. What tank manufacturers do you think will be around the longest for future parts availability?
Well, that's a stupid question. I mean,
obviously the restroom.
What a dumb question.
Which, if you haven't heard of it, go to restroomfloats.com right now. Single best. I know we don't usually recommend float tanks, but I will just go out on a limb here and say single best float tank on the market.
There's no really real competitor, really. It's nothing even like it, I think, is a fair statement.
Yeah.
What float tank manufacturer is going to be around the longest?
Specifically for access to parts. So, like, if they buy a tank and I guess that tank falls apart.
Well, the more likely it is that your tank is falling apart on you, the less likely it is that that manufacturer will be around,
That's true. So maybe it just kind of is a nice balancing effect where no matter
where
along
need
the
parts
spectrum it is, it's the correct place to be, Interesting. I like that twist.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. If I could predict the future, I wouldn't be doing this podcast.
Yeah, we'd just be investing in the float tank manufacturer stocks.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what manufacturer is going to be around the longest.
No, we have no idea.
It's hard to say. I mean, when we opened our center, whatever it was, like 1,000
century
years
ago or something, yeah.
It was like 7.5 years ago. When we opened all those many, many decades ago, there was most of the manufacturers that you see in a lot of float centers right now didn't even exist. They weren't even there yet. And so, what manufacturers are to come even?
We don't know.
Who's to say? Yeah, I don't know.
Certainly not us. That restroom floats thing, though, that was pretty good. Yeah, in fact, I don't even know what kind of question you're asking here.
Well, okay, let's approach this from a different direction, other than foreseeing the future.
Another better question, or
this is a fine question. Thank you. This is a very, very upstanding question you sent it to us today.
Playing good cop isn't going to get you anywhere with this, Ashkahn.
Maybe they'll send us more questions. So here, let's take this back a bit, because what parts would you even need a manufacturer for? I think is another interesting question to ask. The more that you're getting a tank that uses, a pump from a pump company that's been around for a while, or a UV system from a UV company, or PVC pipe
Tires from a tire
PVC
company?
pipe. So like that stuff, most of the stuff in your filtration system, I think is going to either be easy for you to fix or replace with or without the float tank manufacturer. Like no float tank manufacturers out there are really making their own like totally custom UV lights or pumps or filters or forging their own PVC pipe or however PVC is made.
Growing it out of the ground or something like that.
So all that stuff is parts that they're getting from other places. So you're going to, no matter who you're going with, you're most likely going to be able to source those parts from somewhere else. It'll probably be easier for you if you're buying a float tank in the country that you live in. Like float tanks from other countries typically use parts from other countries, and they're a little bit harder to find and like source and not impossible. Like we've done it. We have some float tanks from England, and we've certainly like found the parts and ordered them from England, but it's not quite as easy as just like going to Home Depot and there's the same type of threading and stuff like that that's on the rest of your system. I would say really the hardest part is probably the control box and the software. Right?
Yeah, because you can always, if something happens to the finish of the fiberglass tub, you can get it refinished. Yeah. You don't actually need the manufacturer for that.
Heaters, they're probably buying heaters from some company. They're not making their own heaters.
Yeah, and you can, find another heater company theoretically if you really had to. Like, if we were repairing an old tank, that like if we got a used tank that didn't have heaters in it,
right,
we could find heaters to replace that.
Or like last resort, put an inline or circulation heater in. Yeah. That hurts our ability for long floats, but it's functional.
So the control system.
That's the tricky part, right?
That is you'd almost have to probably figure out a way to just take the inputs and outputs and like ditch like if the control system broke, you'd go back to here's where the speakers go, here's where the pump turns on, and just like hardwired into controls,
And there's like most manufacturers have their own custom control box and their own custom control system for it, especially as time goes on. More and more manufacturers are going that direction. They're making software, they're making they're getting electrical engineers to put together these boxes.
Yeah. And it's getting more and more kind of fancy, I guess is the right word for it.
Yeah, it is the right word for it.
Which means the ability to just do that yourself and recreate these fancy setups that people have is...
It's like, how fancy are you, really?
Are you a fancy person? If you're a fancy person, no problem.
Yeah,
but
you got this. But if you're a common Slav like the rest of us...
Say no Slav, guys.
Like anything's possible. Like at a certain point, you can just ditch the entire control box, the entire control system.
You probably have to be honest. You probably just have to ditch it.
It depends how far out you are from buying this thing or what's wrong with it. Like there's certainly certain situations I think you could probably like hire someone to just make a tweak or something. But at a certain point, probably the easiest thing is going to be especially thinking about the future. Like so you don't have to hire another person a week later to fix some other random little thing and keep like Frankensteining this control box. Like, at some point you'll probably just have to ditch it, hire some sort of low voltage electrical engineer person or high voltage if like the pump and stuff is going through there.
Yeah.
And build a little control box. And we've done this. When we built our own float tanks, we had to deal with this. We had to build a little control box, and it can be as simple as just little timer knobs that you have in your lobby that feed into something that turns the entire system on, and a way to play music. So there are kind of simple solutions without all the kind of like
rigmarole
or automation.
Is that the word you were looking for?
Yeah, this is if you're not a rigmarole type of person, like there's totally ways to deal with it.
And really everything could get replaced. It's just kind of a question of difficulty. I was thinking about liners too, if you're doing a tank that has liners rather than the fiberglass tub.
Yeah, because those are usually like kind of custom.
Yeah, but you can reverse engineer them. You can have someone come in. You can like custom size liners and have your own made. It'll be more expensive.
The real question is at the point that you've replaced every piece of the float tank, is it even the same float tank?
It's a good question.
I don't think anyone's thought of something like that before.
It's a good. You know where you should send that? You should go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast and send that one in. I'd answer it.
Okay, that's good. I got one more little thing to say before we finish, which is that.
That wasn't even my.
That wasn't. I thought
that
was just a real smooth sort of segue.
Oh, I'm not that smooth. Yeah, no, go on though. What were you gonna say?
There are people out there.
All right, thanks everybody.
We'll see you tomorrow. There's many people out there using float tanks right now from manufacturers that don't exist anymore.
True.
So.
Like the restroom.
Yeah. Sometimes from manufacturers that never existed. But you see a lot of floatariums out there. Like Floatarium hasn't been a company for decades.
Apollo float tanks?
Apollos. Well, still technically making those.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry, Apollo.
yeah, easy. That's still being made in Australia.
Whoops. Wait, they stopped existing for a little bit, or they
Well, this
got purchased. The company got purchased by someone else.
This gets into like hazy float history that I'm not 100% certain on, but I think there used to be like two dudes who worked together, made these tanks, and then they split. And one of them, well, let me at least finish. One of them went to like somewhere in Asia and started making them, and these became like the Pathfinders, and the other one went to Australia and continued making those as the Apollo, or maybe vice versa. And then the guy up in Asia sold his molds and stuff to a dude in Russia who's still making that branch of it up there currently. And then there's a guy down in Australia still making that branch of it. I think both branches of it are still currently being manufactured.
So actually, this is sort of, as far as like questions about people going out of business, this one doubled its business. So in some cases, you might actually end up with two separate manufacturers who both could have spare parts for you.
So yeah, you got nothing to worry about. You're all good. Don't worry about it.
And thank you very much for continuing to send in questions despite me berating them all the time. That was a really fun one to answer. So even though we pretty much didn't say anything of any real merit.
Yeah. So if you guys have some high quality questions to send in to us in the future, go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast. You'll find a little thing right there that you can type it into. And
was that your sign off, or was that just sort of a mid-episode?
That was it. Signing off.
Cool. Bye, everyone.